Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So a couple of you guys have asked me about any tips for the interview process and anything that I would like to share. So I thought, why not make a video of my interview experience and about how I got hired. So this video will be a story time as well as tips included about how to get hired as a flight attendant. And also you want to stay tuned and watch the whole video because I will share all the tips that I have as well as the exact things that I said in my interview to get the job. Before we get into this video, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I don't know how there's like 80% of y'all who are not subscribed but watch these videos, so subscribe if you're not subscribed, okay? That's the least you can do with all this free game that I'm giving you. Also, be sure to drop your tips in the comments that will help other people be successful in their interview process. This is a space to share information. We shouldn't be hoarding information to get this job. So if you want to be helpful and drop some tips, drop them down below. First off, let me tell you why I wanted to become a flight attendant. So I had a friend who was a flight attendant for, I believe she was a flight attendant for Delta. And she would be posting, she would be in London, one day she would be in Amsterdam, another day she would be in Costa Rica. And I'm like, wait, you are traveling everywhere. So I was like, she's getting paid to travel, like, that's what I need to be doing because that sounds way better than what I'm currently doing. So I looked at a few YouTube videos, maybe like 2 or 3 about how to become a flight attendant, what you need to know to become a flight attendant. I promise you guys, I only looked at 3 max. I probably didn't watch the video to the end because I was just like, flight attendants always look happy and they're traveling to new places. Like, there can't be anything wrong with the job. Like, it has to be like awesome. Yeah, should have done more research. And if you're considering this job, definitely watch all of my videos. You need to learn about seniority. You need to learn about reserve because I did not look into that stuff when I applied for the job. I was just more focused about free flights, traveling, getting paid to travel. That was pretty much what was on my mind. I didn't know about all the other aspects of flying and scheduling and real life. So make sure you thoroughly do research before you just jump into a job. Definitely this job has its pros and cons. If you want me to do a video about that, I can do one. I definitely should have done a little more research, and I encourage everyone else to do so because reserve life is tough. It is no joke. And I'm tired and we haven't even gotten to the holidays yet. So I just know I'm going to be working super hard. But anyways, so I watched a couple of videos. I was like, cool, I'm down, let's do this. Looked online, how to become a flight attendant, looked up a couple airlines, applied to some main lines, I saw a regional. I didn't know the difference between mainline and regional at the time. Obviously, I wasn't doing research. Make sure you know the difference between those two and if that's something that you want to consider. In my mind, I was just thinking, I'm going to apply to mainline, I'm going to apply to regional, and whoever calls me first is who I go with. Whoever has the better offer, obviously, I'll go with. So that was my logic, right? So it was in October of 2019 when I applied for the job. And they had a group interview scheduled at the Atlanta airport. So let's say it was around 6 p.m. I got there at I got there at around 5:50, let's say 5:50, because I'm not a person who's like a super overachiever. I'm not gonna come at 5 o'clock. Like, no, because time is money and I'm not about to sit here way early. I'm not one of those people. But I say all this to say that I got there at 5:50, 10 minutes before this group interview thing started, and everybody was already there, and people were saying that they were there at 5 o'clock and 4:30, and they came super early. So I was like, okay, this is weird. It was like me coming in at 5:50 was almost like I came there late. So yeah, there were plenty of overachievers that came in super early. So the way that the classroom or the room was set up was like maybe like 10 rows, and there was a seat right in the front. So I sat in the front because it was a seat up there. One thing that I really do remember is that I was wearing business attire, of course, but I had like a burnt orange cardigan. You know, I was looking festive. It was like October, fall season, so still business, but I was wearing colors. So I had on burnt orange and tan. It was cute, like it was cream. It was a nice little outfit, but I kid you not, I was the only person wearing color. Everyone else was wearing black, blue, white. Like everyone looked like corporate, and then I'm over here looking like Legally Blonde with all these colors on. I definitely stood out wearing color. Not sure if that helped or hindered. I mean, it was still business casual, but you could obviously tell that everyone else was watching YouTube videos, and I guess in the YouTube videos they were saying, you know, make sure you're wearing black or whatever the case may be. Wear uniform type clothes. Like that's super boring, but everyone was wearing that. And I wasn't. Just make sure you're in business attire. I don't think it's that deep in terms of colors, because obviously I got hired wearing burnt orange and cream. So they started at 6 o'clock sharp. I was sitting in one room which had maybe about 80 people, and there were 3 rooms. So 3 rooms of about 80 people. And the people who were interviewing us were sitting in the back, and there were, I want to say 5 or 6 of them in the back. So we started at 6 o'clock sharp, and one of the interviewers came up to the front and she was like, hey, I'm so-and-so. Actually, I think everyone introduced themselves. So they all came to the front, introduced themselves, and they said that we will now open up the floor. Each person will give an elevator speech, basically, about why you feel that you're fit for the job. So each person had to go up there, and they had 2 minutes to give a speech, you know, about themselves, basically present themselves in the best way possible as to why they should get the job. Now, here where the tips come in. Some people, when they went up there, it was just sounded very scripted, as if they memorized the whole thing. So I definitely recommend that when you give your elevator speech, make it sound conversational. Don't be so, I don't even know, like, I don't even know what word I want to use. Just don't be so matter of fact with it, because that sounds so scripted. Just don't be scripted. There were some people that just went over the time, which honestly, I'm such a concise person that I think I fit all of mine in under 1 minute, because why do you have over 2 minutes of a life story to tell? Like, are you that interesting? I don't know. I couldn't imagine talking for hours and hours and hours, or minutes and minutes and minutes about myself anyway. But yeah, some people went over the time. There were some people that got really nervous and just kind of froze up when they got up there. That was kind of awkward. There were people who had really good speeches and did not make it to round 2. So there were 2 rounds. The first round was where everyone gave their elevator pitch, and then we had to wait for maybe like 45 minutes to an hour for them to evaluate. And then they like basically trim that list down, and the next batch of people were given individual interviews, and then after that it's callbacks. So some people had really, really good speeches and they did not make it to round 2. Some people, there were 2 people specifically in my little classroom who actually gave their elevator pitch and said the wrong company that they want to work for. I don't know how you can do that, but they did that. One person made it to the second round and one person didn't. So I guess it just really all depends. I don't know what all the factors that they're looking for, but it is not in your best interest to say the wrong airline that you want to work for in your elevator speech. You want to make sure you're not stating your elevator speech too fast. You want to say it in a nice, even pace where people can understand what you're saying. You know, don't be nervous. Also, don't focus too much on what everyone else is saying or doing and get discouraged. If you hear someone's elevator speech and it sounds so amazing, your speech is also amazing. Just focus on yourself. Don't worry about everyone else in the room. It's you and the interviewers. So just relax and practice with other friends, practice with your family members, read it to yourself, write down your elevator speech and read it to yourself in the mirror, because practice makes perfect. Okay, so I actually still have my elevator pitch that I said in my interview that helped me get the job that I'm working today. So, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm reading it. So make sure you listen, because I'm only saying this once. Then I can probably delete this note, because it's been a note in my phone for forever. Let's get into the most important part. My name is Real Pristine, and I'm a military brat who has moved every 3 years within the country and outside of the country as well. I have serviced many different walks of life in my previous job experience in a restaurant setting, residential setting, and currently in a luxury setting. And what I have found to enjoy the most was my interactions with people. I believe that as a flight attendant, you get to meet people all over the world and learn about different cultures, and it would be a great opportunity. Being a military brat and working in various settings, my qualities of being a social butterfly, having adaptability skills, and understanding the value of service, especially in terms of having empathy over sympathy, all while ensuring safety, will contribute to the qualities of me being a strong candidate if given the opportunity to work for this company. And here I am, hired. So that's what I said in my elevator pitch. That was all of, I don't know, had to be under a minute, because I'm a concise person. I'm not a person that's gonna add a whole lot of fluff to make myself sound good. Yeah. Tip that I'll give you guys: do not say what I just said verbatim, okay? Switch it up, add some things. Because you're not Real Pristine. Like, why would you be reading why would you read my script? That's number one, okay? That's weird. That's not creative at all. So this is just a gist of something that you should be saying, okay? You want to make an elevator pitch that just kind of flows, something that you can ad-lib. This is just, I wrote this down to structure what I want to say, but I could still freehand and talk about myself if I wanted to, because I'm talking about me. So I don't recommend you saying what I said unless you're Real Pristine and a military brat and have done everything that I said in this. Then I guess make it work. But yeah, don't be a rookie and say exactly what someone else said. And if you see all the views in this, someone's gonna copy what I said. Don't let it be you, okay? But anyway, so my tips for giving an elevator speech is that you want to make it personable to yourself. You only have 2 minutes, so use this opportunity not to like showboat and brag about yourself. Just get to the point, okay? Get to the point without bragging. I want you guys to notice how in my elevator speech, I mention a few accolades without bragging about them. I think it's very important not to brag about what you've done. Because one, they have your resume. All of the interviewers have the resume in front of you. They can look at where you've worked, what you've done. Therefore, you don't have to repeat it in your elevator speech. You can just put a small snippet in there and keep it moving, you know? If I wanted to get up on the stance and just brag, I would literally say, oh, I worked at Louis Vuitton and that's why you should hire me. Like, no, where does that get me? It sounds way better if I just said, like I did, luxury setting, keep it moving. That gets their brain jogging, gets them interested to look at my resume and see, what is she talking about? You know? So say something that gets them interested to look more into you. Also, you do want to incorporate safety somehow, some way into your elevator speech. So in mine, you can scroll back and listen to it and see where I incorporated safety. However, of course, you don't need to be saying my line word for word. Be sure to incorporate safety in some way, because safety is the #1 priority when you are a flight attendant. So in your elevator speech, you want to name drop safety somehow, some way, whether that's I've been a Boy Scout or Girl Scout and I've learned survival skills that help me be safe throughout my life, you know, boom, there's one. If you want to say I'm an older sibling and I have to, you know, I've always taken care of my little brother or sister, boom, that's dropping a bit of safety and making sure my younger siblings were safe. That's the way to say you prioritize safety in your life. It's even as simple as saying, I would like to be in a workplace with like-minded individuals who care about safety just as much as I do. Because if it's anything that the panoramic has taught us, is that we only have one life to live and we should be mindful of the health and safety of those around us. Boom, that was actually perfect. Like, somebody can use that in their interview and you will definitely get the job. But something like that, because flying is actually safer than driving, if you did not know, because when you're driving, you have to worry about other people driving, those with road rage, those who are distracted, those who drive under the influence, versus flying. There are so many people, the pilot, the co-pilot, air traffic control, everyone is concerned about safety in that aspect when it comes to flying. So that's just a couple of ways to, you know, sprinkle in that little bit of, hey, I care about safety and I care about the safety of those around me. That's the way to sprinkle that into your elevator pitch. So do with that information what you will. If you said what I just said in your interview process and you get hired, let me know in the comments, because that was actually golden. I would hire myself on that line. Next topic from the elevator pitches. So after all of the elevator pitches were done, we were released for about 45 minutes to an hour or so while they evaluate. And it was like American Idol, where they put the list of names of people that they want for the next round. So we had to just wait. So I waited. I was starving because I did not know that I was going to be there that long. I thought it was going to be a little hour. No, I was there from 6 to 12 a.m. Okay, that was the longest interview process of my life. Okay, so bring snacks. That's what I will say. That's a tip. Bring snacks, because it's gonna be there all night. Unless you don't make it to round 2. But we're gonna speak positivity, so bring your snacks because you're gonna be there all night. So they let us go. I went to go eat, and I went to the bar because they only had a bar. We were in a hotel area, so I went to the bar. Make sure you guys don't buy a drink. I didn't buy a drink, but make sure you don't buy a drink or have anyone buy you a drink, because you're technically still, getting interviewed, so yeah, had to be mindful of that and not forget that the interviewers could come out any second and see me having a glass of wine. So make sure if you're sitting at the bar, don't have a drink with you, get a visible glass of water with a big straw, no stir. So I got my food, and then it was like an hour later, they put up the signs, like American Idol, and then, I had to look through, boom, saw my name. Okay, round 2. So round 2 was basically a little bit more intense. I don't really think it was. I feel like I'm good at interviews and I'm good at answering questions on the spot. Other people may not be, but that's a skill of mine. So, and this part of the interview is where you're with one person who is interviewing you. It's like a one-on-one. And she asked me about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 questions. I don't remember all the questions because that was so long ago. One of the questions were, name a time when you went above and beyond for a customer, client, whatever. And I did answer that question. That's like a general question that I feel like all interviewers ask. So make sure you're prepared and ready to answer that question. And then I remember the last thing that she had me do was to read an announcement as if I was a flight attendant. Yeah, so I had to do that. And that was, that was easy. It wasn't hard. I don't even know why I paused and thought about it. That was easy. That was probably the easiest part of the whole night. Yeah, so we did that. She was writing notes the whole time while I was answering questions, so that was a little bit nerve-wracking. But it was still a calm experience. She, the person who was interviewing me wasn't mean or anything like that or harsh. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, so had that process. Then I gave them my email, contact information. I had to fill out a sheet saying, would I be willing to move once I got hired? And I signed it and said yes. Be willing and ready to move if you are based somewhere that you don't want to be based and you don't want to commute. So yeah, signed that little waiver, gave them my information. They said they will call me back in 3 weeks or email me in 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, cool. Waited 3 weeks, and then boom, your girl was hired. I got my conditional job offer, which if you hear in other videos, people will say CJO. Yeah, CJO. So I got my CJO, and yeah. And then boom, now we're here. So that was my whole experience of my interview process and how it went. Of course, it was just, I'm glad that it was an interview, group interview, and just 2 sessions and then just wait for an email. It wasn't like a phone interview or anything like that, but trust me, if you have a group interview, be prepared to be there all day, okay? Because that was a long time. I didn't get home until like 1. So be prepared to be there. I hope this video helped you guys, gave you guys a little bit more clarity of what to expect going into an interview with an airline, a group interview. Oh, I also want to say that the interviewers are looking at how you're interacting with other people. You know, are you standoffish? Are you just like sitting in a corner? Are you making friends? Are you mixing and mingling? Yes, they do pay attention to that. So I don't want to say be friendly. I want to say be yourself, because ultimately don't put on this front like you're this bubbly social butterfly, cool, high social battery person, and you're not. Okay? Because then you have to put on at work every day. Who wants to have a job where you're always like putting on every day, you know? So be yourself. And if being yourself is a sociable person, then it should be easy for you. It shouldn't be putting on an act. Listen, one more thing that I want to tell you guys. A lot of you guys have been asking all these questions about how to get hired, what do you have to do, what are the tips, what are the secrets? Like, there's no secret to getting this job. Being a flight attendant is not a fraternity. It is not a sorority. It is not a secret service job, okay? Like, stop. It's just look up, go on the website, scroll to the bottom. What is it? Hiring. Fill out the application. Go to the interview with the same energy you do with all the other jobs that you ever applied for. Like, stop making it. Don't put the job on a pedestal, okay? Just be calm, cool, and collected. Put your best foot forward, okay? If you made it this far in the video, please put a thumbs up in the comments. But what I will say is that in your interview process, in your elevator speech, do not say, oh, I want this job so I can travel for free and get paid to travel. Like, duh, we all want the job to travel for free. Like, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that? That is the most rookiest answer. You don't want this job, obviously, if you say that. So say something else, say something better than that. That's understood, okay? You don't need to say that. Talk about yourself in a positive light. Be ready for those interview questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.